Wild Things got to them that day in what would turn out to be a loss. The Wild Things losing 7-3 to the Lake Erie Crushers on that day. But his last time out's what he got, the Frontier League Pitcher of the Week. 4 through 8 innings of work in last week's on July 26 against Traverse City. Gave up 4 runs, 2 earned on 7 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. His record with the Lake Erie Crushers this year was 3-4 with a 3.70 ERA before he was released and picked up by the Florence Freedom. So far with Florence, his record sits at 1-2 and a 2.63 ERA. Matt Frauden enters today, a record of 4-4, sitting at 2.68. That 2.68 ERA currently good for third best on this Wild Things team behind Zach Groats and Trevor Foss. Groats sitting with a 1.43 ERA and Trevor Foss with a 2.50 ERA. Getting you ready for Game 3 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. It's Halloween and July night here at the ballpark, so a lot of people dressed up here. We got some black cat shirts around the stadium that I've already seen, lots of costumes. It'll be a fun night for baseball here at UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Now, while we got a moment, going to take a look at the road ahead for your Washington Wild Things. They're playing currently the third game of this 9-game, 10-day road trip. After this, the Wild Things will be in Evansville to face the Evansville Otters on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll finish up the road trip at River City. Those games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all can be heard right here on the MSA Sports Network. Then the Wild Things back home to take on the Lake Erie Crushers August 9th through the 11th. And August 12th through the 14th back on the road at Windy City. August 16th through the 18th, they will be at Traverse City. So that's the road ahead for your Washington Wild Things. Players lining up on the field here, getting ready for the national anthem, getting ready for Game 3 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. So momentarily going to take you down to the field for that national anthem here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball. Jordan Krause versus Matt Frauden today as the Wild Things look to win the series here in Florence and improve their road record. Right now on the road they sit with a record of 15-13 on the road this season. 2 games above 500. They are 2 games under 500. Back at Consol Energy Park, their record at Consol Energy is 16-18. Right now, going to go down to the field for the national anthem. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network. We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, ready for Game 3 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. The rubber match of this 3-game series. Wild Things taking Game 1 by the score of 7-4, and the Freedom taking Game 2 by the score of 6-2. The Florence Freedom are on the field right now and getting ready for action. Looking at them defensively, they align like this. In the outfield, left to right, Andrew Godbold, Andre Mercurio, and Collins Cuthrell. On the left side of the infield, it's Taylor Oldham and Mason Salazar. On the right side, Daniel Fraga and Jordan Brower behind the plate. is Isaac Wenrick. Catching today's starter, Jordan Krause. Krause enters this one with a record of 1-2, a 2.63 ERA. Appearing in his 5th game for the Florence Freedom, making his 5th start. Has thrown 27 1/3 innings of work, giving up 19 hits, 15 runs, 8 earned, giving up 8 walks and 16 strikeouts on the year. The lineup he'll face for your Washington Wild Things looks like this. They'll lead off with their left fielder, Andrew Heck. Batting second and center field is Chris Grayson. Hitting third, the designated hitter, Ricky Rodriguez. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Hitting fifth at first base, Logan Uxa. Batting sixth and catching, Kyle Pollock. Batting seventh at second base, Jamadrick Magruder. Hitting eighth at third, Grant Fink. And batting ninth and playing at shortstop is Austin Wobrock. On the mound for your Washington Wild Things is Matt Frodden. Frodden entering this one with a record of 4-4 and a 2.68 ERA. Wild Things led by their manager, Greg Langben. Langben in his first season, his record with the Washington Wild Things coming into today, 31-31. Jordan Krause on the mound, as we said, the Week 11 Frontier League Pitcher of the Week. Coming into this ball game for his start at Traverse City. 8 innings in that one, gave up 2 earned runs his last time out. We'll see what your Wild Things can do against him here today. Just about ready for baseball here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. A beautiful sunny day here in Florence, Kentucky, as Andrew Heck makes his way to the plate to lead things off here in the top of the first. Heck so far in the year hitting .260 with no home runs and 9 RBIs. Nobody out. Wild Things looking to go above 500 here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. Jordan Krause on the mound. Looks into his catcher, Wenrick. Has his sign. He's set, and time is called by Andrew Heck as they're waiting for something to close the bullpen door out there. And now Heck stepping back in, and we're ready for the first pitch of the ball game. Krause has his sign. Here it comes. And Heck takes this one for a strike on the outside corner, and the count is no balls and a strike. First pitch tonight thrown at 6:08 p.m. Eastern Time. Temperature 80 degrees. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. Heck takes this next pitch on the inside corner, and quickly down to the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Heck back in that leadoff spot. Jamadrick Magruder was there in yesterday's ball game. The 0-2, and this one grounded towards the middle. Past Krause, diving try by Fraga. He's not going to get it, and that's a base hit into center field for Andrew Heck. So the Wild Things have the leadoff man on here in the top of the first. Heck reaches base, and that'll bring to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far on the year, .316, 2 home runs, and 9 RBIs. Wild Things getting that leadoff man on in the top of the first, and that could be key because in the first 2 games of this series, it's been the team that has taken the early lead that has been able to hold on to it for the rest of the games. To see if the Wild Things can get a lead here in the top of the first. Krause has his sign. Here's the pitch. Grayson showing bunt, and he'll take this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes here on the left-handed hitting Chris Grayson. Coaching on the base paths in this one for your Wild Things, manager Greg Langben at third base, and it's Trevor Foss coaching over at first base. Krause set. Here's the 1-0, and that one is taken for a strike by Grayson. Showed bunt once again, and the count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. And we've seen this a couple times this year. Andrew Heck over there at first started going for second base, but then put on the brakes, not sure of himself, being able to make it. Krause has his sign. He's set, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And this ball popped up the foul territory off to the left, back behind the Wild Things dugout, and that'll get down onto the concourse here at UC Health Stadium, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Chris Grayson. Grayson is .316 average, currently good for first on this Washington Wild Things team. Has done very well at the plate in the last week for the Washington Wild Things, looking to continue here today. Krause throws over to first, and Andrew Heck getting back in there. Heck on the year, currently third on the team with 5 stolen bases. No Wild Thing has double digits in stolen bases. One Wild Thing did, that was Jamal Austin, but he retired right before the All-Star break. Krause set the 1-2 pitch. Heck taking off for second. This one's fouled off by Grayson. Goes back to the screen, and the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Grayson fighting off a tough pitch there. A breaking ball from Jordan Krause. As it was just off the plate, Grayson able to get the tip of the bat on it to stay alive. Andrew Heck, the runner at first. Jordan Krause looking in. Krause to Wenrick. And now he'll step off as he wants to go through the signs again. Wild Things in their red alternate jerseys with the white lettering and their gray road pants. The Florence Freedom in their white home jerseys with red lettering and their white home pants here at UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Krause has his sign, checks first the pitch. A pitch out here from Krause. And Nothing going on there, trying to check Andrew Heck. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count here on Chris Grayson with one man out, or with nobody out in the top of the first. Grayson at the plate. Kraus has his sign. He's set, checks first, the 2-2. And this one blind down the right field line, and it will be a foul ball. Landing just to the right of that foul line over there in right field. Inches away from being a fair ball. Chris Grayson thought he had a fair ball, but will have to go back, and the count will remain 2-2. If that's a fair ball, Andrew Heck scores easily, and your Wild Things take the early lead. Grayson thought he had it in there, but it did just hit to the right side of that foul line. So unfortunately for Grayson, he's going to have to step in and do it again. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 man out. Grayson actually broke his bat on the play. Hit that one off the end of the bat. Once again, second straight pitch that he did that on. So he's going to go to the Wild Things dugout, get a new bat from there, and he'll step back in. Andrew Heck was on his horse on that one. He was already halfway to third when that ball landed. So he would have scored easily if that was a fair ball. Unfortunately for the Wild Things, it wasn't, and Chris Grayson will have to step back in. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Top of the first, no score between your Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Jordan Kraus has his sign, checks first, and the 2-2 pitch. And this one hit down the left field line, and that one will hook and go foul. The count will remain 2 balls and 2 strikes. 3 straight foul balls here from Chris Grayson in this top of the first inning, making Jordan Kraus work after Andrew Heck a 3-pitch at bat before he would end up singling up the middle. Jordan Kraus looks into Wenrick, has his sign, he's set, and the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. Holds at the belt, here it comes. And Grayson a grounder to second. Daniel Fraga handles it on a hop, and now he bobbles it. And Chris Grayson is able to reach base. So a bobble by Daniel Fraga allows Grayson to reach base on that one. I don't think they'll give Grayson a hit, as that looks like a routine ground ball. They will not. It's an E4 on Daniel Fraga, and there are runners at first and second for your Wild Things with nobody out. And the designated hitter, Ricky Rodriguez, coming to the plate. Rodriguez so far on the season is currently hitting .299 with 5 home runs and 22 RBIs. Has not been getting any love in the RBI department, as he's driven in a run in each of the last 2 games. However, both coming in via an error, so not expanding upon that 22 RBI stat. Kraus has his sign, checks Heck in the pitch, and Rodriguez fouls this one off to the screen. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Ricky Rodriguez, hitting in the number 3 spot. Was at third base last night. The designated hitter here for tonight's ball game. Grant Fink getting a start out there at third. Kraus looks into Wenrick, has his sign, he's set, checks Heck at second, and the pitch on the way. And this one lined to right field, and that'll get down for a base hit. Heck had to wait to see if it was going to be caught, so he's only going to be able to make it up to third. It's a single for Ricky Rodriguez, and the bases are full of Wild Things here with nobody out in the top of the first. Andrew Heck stands at third, Chris Grayson at second, Ricky Rodriguez at first, and that'll bring to the plate the right fielder Dave Popkins. Popkins on the year, currently hitting .303 with 10 home runs and 35 RBIs, leads the team in both the home run and RBI category on the season, just as he did a year ago. Bases full of Wild Things. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks Heck. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Popkins, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Big opportunity here for the Wild Things in the first inning to try to get the lead early. And as we've seen in the first 2 games of this series, the team who's taken the lead early on has gone on to win the ball game. So we'll see if the Wild Things can get the lead here in this one. Kraus has his sign, the pitch, and Popkins a grounder to second. Fraga handles it to second for 1 on to first. It's in time for the double play. Meanwhile, a run will score, and your Wild Things take the early 1-0 lead here in this one. Heck comes in. Ricky Rodriguez thrown out at second, and Chris Grayson moves up to third. 1-0 Wild Things lead this one. It will not be an RBI for Dave Popkins there on that double play, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa so far on the year hitting .263, 5 home runs, and 16 RBIs. Chris Grayson, the runner at third, 2 men out. Kraus has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Uxa takes this one for a strike on the outside corner, no balls and a strike. A big opportunity there for the Wild Things. They do get 1 out of it with the bases loaded and nobody out. Unfortunately, Popkins hitting into that double play. Kraus has his sign, the 0-1, and Uxa grounder to short. Handled there by Salazar. Throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. 6-3 the putout, and the inning is over. 1 run in the inning for the Wild Things on 2 hits, no errors, or 1 error in the inning, and 1 man left on base. After half an inning of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Florence Freedom nothing. Wild Things not taking as much advantage as they would have liked to of that big opportunity in the first inning, that the bases loaded and nobody out, but Dave Popkins hitting into the big 4-6-3 double play that would only score 1 run and put 2 outs and a runner at third. And then Jordan Krause took advantage of the Wild Things not taking advantage of their big opportunity. Matt Frodden, making his way to the hill for your Wild Things, has been very good in his last 2 starts. 1-0 with a 0.63 ERA. He's on the mound. The rest of the Wild Things take the field like this. In the outfield, left to right, Andrew Heck, Chris Grayson, and Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Grant Fink and Austin Wobrock. Right side by Jamardrick Magruder and Logan Uxa. And it'll be Kyle Pollock behind the plate catching today's starter, Matt Frodden. Frodden enters this one with a record of 4-4, a 2.68 ERA, appearing in his 13th game, making his 12th start of the year. Has thrown 70 1/3 innings of work, giving up 23 runs, 21 earned on 61 hits, 24 walks, and 55 strikeouts on the year to this point for Matt Frodden. The lineup he'll face for the Florence Freedom looks like this. They'll lead off with their center fielder, Andre Mercurio. Batting second at third base, Taylor Oldham. Batting third in left field, Andrew Godbold. In the 4 spot, designated hitter, Austin Newell. Batting fifth at first base, newly off the disabled list, Jordan Brower. Batting sixth in right field, Collins Cuthrell. Hitting seventh and catching, Isaac Wenrick. Batting eighth at shortstop, Mason Salazar. And batting ninth at second base is Daniel Fraga. On the mound for the Freedom, as you saw, Jordan Krause. Krause entering this one with a record of 1-2 and a 2.63 ERA. Matt Frodden looking to continue his recent success on the mound here against the Florence Freedom. 7 shutout innings against the River City Rascals 2 starts ago and a win, and then 6 innings of 1-run ball against the Normal Corn Belters on Tuesday night at Consol Energy Park. Andre Mercurio making his way to the plate to start things here in the bottom of the first. Mercurio currently hitting .308 with no home runs and 12 RBIs on the season. Bottom of the first, Wild Things leading 1-0 from UC Health Stadium here in Florence, Kentucky. Game 3 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Matt Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Frodden has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there at the knees for a strike. No balls and a strike. And Frodden, if he can stay ahead of batters, he's been very good in his last 2 starts. Really good at doing just that. Likes to work quickly. Gets a lot of ground balls. Also has quite a few strikeouts on the year. Second on the team with 55. This next pitch is popped up, and that'll go into the seats off to the left and foul. And the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Andre Mercurio. Has been in the leadoff spot for the Florence Freedom in all 3 games against the Washington Wild Things. Was wearing the cow pattern jersey in last night's game for Florence. Tonight, that jersey being worn by Mason Salazar. Frodden has his sign, the 0-2 pitch, and that one's in the dirt. Can't get a chase there from Mercurio, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Andre Mercurio, with Frodden likes to attack the strike zone. Not very wild, as on the year through his 70 1/3 innings pitch, he's only walked 24. Next pitch, that one's low for a ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 55 strikeouts, good for second on the team. His 2.68 ERA, good for third on the team in that category. Frodden looks in, has his sign, the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this one is hit to right field. Dave Popkins going back a couple of steps on it, and he will make the catch. That is out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Florence Freedom here in the first against Matt Frodden. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Taylor Oldham. Oldham so far on the year is hitting .308 with 8 home runs and 47 RBIs. Those 47 RBIs, good for the team lead here for the Florence Freedom. So Oldham stepping in. We saw him at first base in the first 2 games of this series, but with Jordan Brower coming off of the disabled list for the Florence Freedom, Oldham moves back to his typical position at third base. Matt Frodden looking in as Oldham gets ready. Frodden in his second year with the Wild Things has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way to Oldham. And that one's low for a ball, so Frodden falling behind Taylor Oldham here. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Taylor Oldham. Frodden set, and the 1-0 pitch. And this one is just outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Wild Things defensively, Grant Fink was playing in on the grass at third base. Now we'll move back a couple of steps. Oldham has surprised the Wild Things with bunts over there to that left side the last 2 games, so guarding against it here. The 2-0, and this one hit the left center field. Chris Grayson shifted over that way a little bit. He'll make the catch, and that is out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Florence Freedom here in the bottom of the first, and that'll bring to the plate the left fielder Andrew Godbold. Godbold so far in the year hitting .300, 9 home runs, and 36 RBIs. Those 9 home runs are tied for first on the team. Godbold and Collins Cuthrell are tied for the team lead in bombs. Godbold won the home run derby this year in Florence, Kentucky, right here in the 2016 All-Star Game. Frodden looks in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Godbold takes this one in the dirt for a ball, bounces up to the plate, bounces off Pollock, and goes back to the screen. And the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Andrew Godbold. Matt Frodden getting his first complete game of the season 2 starts ago. Frodden set the 1-0, and that one's in there to the knees for a strike. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here to Godbold. 2 men out in the bottom of the first. 1-0 your Wild Things lead. Frodden looks in, has his sign, the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And that one's low and outside for a ball. Count goes to 2-1. 2 balls and a strike. Godbold hitting from the right-handed side out of that number 3 spot in the order. In yesterday's game, Andrew Godbold drove in one of his team's 6 runs. Frodden set the 2-1 pitch, and a swing and a miss there by Godbold, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 2 men out here from UC Health Stadium. Frodden getting that fastball on the inside corner, trying to get it by Godbold, and he did. Frodden looking in, has his sign, the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this one fouled off to the screen, so Godbold stays alive here, fighting off that tough pitch on the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. 1-0 your Washington Wild Things lead. Frodden looking to get through this inning. 1-2-3. The Wild Things did not have a 1-2-3 inning in yesterday's ball game. Frodden set the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch, and that one's outside for a ball, so the count will go full at 3-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes. On deck hitter for the Florence Freedom is Austin Newell, the DH. Umpires for tonight's ball game, Brian Miller behind home plate and Andy Dodonis on the bases. Frodden set. Here's the 3-2, and this ball lined up the middle, and that'll be a base hit. A 2-out single for Andrew Godbold, first hit on the day for the Florence Freedom. There'll be a runner at first with 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Austin Newell. Newell so far on the year is currently hitting .258 with 2 home runs and 34 RBIs. In that cleanup spot here today was the designated hitter in Game 2 of this series last night against Chase Cunningham. 2 men out, bottom of the first. 1-0 your Wild Things lead over the Florence Freedom. Andrew Godbold taking his lead from first, getting that 2-out single, as Frodden cannot get the 1-2-3 inning here in the first. Frodden has his sign, checks first. Here's the pitch, and this one lined towards left center field, and that one will get down. Andrew Heckel cut it off before it gets to the wall. Godbold going to get into third easily on that play, and it's a single for Austin Newell. Runners are at first and third now with 2 men out, and that brings to the plate the first baseman, Jordan Brower. Brower just activated off the disabled list today, and Brower on the year so far for the Freedom, hitting .305 coming into the game with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs, playing in his 22nd game of the season. Brower activated from the disabled list today and starting at first base here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. 2 outs, 2 men on, 1-0 Wild Things lead. Frodden has his sign, he's set, checks the runner at first, the pitch, and Brower a ground ball to the right side. Jamadrick Magruder will handle it, he'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. So no runs in the inning for the Freedom on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. Sign, he's set, checks the runner at second, and the no ball, 1 strike pitch. Godbold checks his swing, and this one's in the dirt, so the count will go even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Andrew Godbold. We said sunny skies here in Florence, Kentucky. A couple of clouds looming over the stadium, but nothing suspicious to this point. There is a chance of rain tonight, but so far looking so good early on in the game. Frodden has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Godbold, and the count goes to 1-2. Big hack there, but Frodden able to get that fastball by him as the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out. Taylor Oldham takes his lead from second. Frodden looking in to Kyle Pollock, has his sign, he's set. And the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Godbold. Pollock loses it, so he'll have to throw to first, and that will complete the strikeout. Strikeout 2-3 put out, and the inning is over. No runs for the Freedom in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 3 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Florence Freedom nothing. Matt Frodden having to throw a lot of pitches there in that 3rd inning, but still keeping the Florence Freedom off of the scoreboard for right now, and that's what you want to see with the Wild Things holding on to their 1-run lead. Matt Frodden's been very good at that in his last 2 starts. That 0.63 ERA, a 7-inning shutout against the River City Rascals, and then one run in 6 innings against the Normal Corn Belters. Jordan Krause making his way back out to the mound for the Florence Freedom for his 4th inning of work. Last inning only faced 3 batters in the inning as Austin Wobrock reached on an error. Then Andrew Heck struck out. Wobrock would be caught stealing for out number 2, and then Chris Grayson would pop out to end the inning. Due up here in the 4th for your Wild Things, Ricky Rodriguez, Dave Popkins, and Logan Uxa, 3, 4, and 5, facing off against Jordan Krause. Now, Krause has played 3 seasons of professional ball, played for the Teos Blizzard in 2014, also for the Roswell Invaders. Combined the 2014 season went a total of 1-3 between the 2 teams. 2.45 ERA for the Blizzard and a 2.48 ERA for the Invaders. And then the summer of 2015 joined the Frontier Grays, where he went 5-5 with a 2.98 ERA and 17 starts and 102.2 innings pitched. Then this season started the year with the Lake Erie Crushers, where it was 3-4 with a 3.70 ERA. Actually started against your Washington Wild Things in a game back on June the 12th when the Wild Things swept the Lake Erie Crushers, and now picked up by the Florence Freedom, where his record's 1-2 and a 2.63 ERA. Ricky Rodriguez making his way to the plate to lead things off here in the top of the 4th. Rodriguez so far 1 for 1 in the ball game, was at 3rd base last night and went 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout. Also walked in the ball game. Nobody out here in the top of the 4th. Here's Krause's pitch, and Rodriguez takes that one for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Jordan Krause really settling down since that 1st inning when the bases were loaded for the Wild Things and nobody out. Krause's 0-1 pitch, and that one's outside for a ball, so the count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Krause has allowed a total of 4 base runners today, and 1 of them has scored. Krause's 1-1 pitch, and that one's inside and low for a ball, so the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. No walks so far on the day for Jordan Krause, and in 27 1/3 innings pitched for the Freedom so far, has 8 walks in his Freedom career. Here's the 2-1, and this one fouled off by Ricky Rodriguez, so the count will go to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out here in the top of the 4th. 1-0, your Washington Wild Things leading over the Florence Freedom. Ricky Rodriguez, the right-handed batter, facing Krause, the right-handed pitcher. Krause's 2-2 pitch. And this one lined towards right center field, giving chase is Mercurio. He's not going to get it, and it'll go to the wall. Rodriguez around first. He's heading to second, and he will be in there with a leadoff double. So the Wild Things have a runner at second, nobody out. The 3rd time in this ballgame that the leadoff man has reached in 4 innings for the Wild Things, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far 0 for 1, hitting to a 4-6-3 double play in his first at-bat. Currently leads the team with 35 RBIs. Did not get an RBI, although he drove in a run in the 1st inning with that double play ball. Rodriguez takes his lead from second. Jordan Krause looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way to Popkins. And that one's low for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Dave Popkins. Popkins also leads this team in walks and strikeouts on the season. Currently has 40 walks and 58 strikeouts on the year. Krause has his sign, checks second, and the 1-0. And Popkins pops this one up to shallow center. Giving chase is Andre Mercurio. Fraga going out. Mercurio will call him off, and he'll make the catch, and that's out number 1. 1 away for the Wild Things here in the top of the 4th as Popkins can't move the man up to 3rd base, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Logan Uxa. Uxa so far 0 for 1, grounded out in his first at-bat, and Uxa in yesterday's ball game ended up going 0 for 3, struck out, grounded out, and popped out. Had a very good game in the first game of this series as he drove in 4 of his team's 7 runs in Game 1, including hitting his 5th home run of the season. Jordan Krause looking in. Krause has his sign, he's set, checks the runner at second, and the pitch on the way. And that one's inside to Uxa, 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count, nearly getting Uxa on the leg on that one is Jordan Kraus. Kraus looks into Wenrick. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second. And the 1-ball, no-strike pitch. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Logan Ucks out there at first base for the third game of this series. Jimmy Yezzo the night off as Rodriguez the designated hitter. Kraus has his sign, checks second, and the 1-1. And Uxa grounds us to the right side. Sliding stop there by Brower. He'll flip it to Kraus covering. It's a foot race, and Kraus just does get there in time for out number 2. 3-1 on the putout. There are 2 outs in the top of the 4th. Meanwhile, Ricky Rodriguez moving up to third. So the Wild Things have a runner at third and 2 men out. And their catcher, Kyle Pollock, coming to the plate. Pollock so far 0 for 1. Flew out to left field in his last at-bat. 2 outs, top of the 4th. Wild Things leading by a score of 1-0 over the Florence Freedom. Jordan Kraus looks in, has his sign. He's set, checks third, and the pitch on the way. And Pollock takes this one outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Low and outside, almost in the middle of the left-handed batter's box. 1-0 the count here on Kyle Pollock. Pollock 9 RBIs on the season behind the plate. Kraus has his sign. He's set. And the 1-0 pitch. And Pollock to left field. Andrew Godbold giving chase. Couple steps in front of the track. And he will make the catch. And that is out number 3. No runs in the inning for the Wild Things on just 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 3.5, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Florence Freedom 0. Wild Things getting the leadoff man on at second base there, but could not bring him around in the inning as they just hold on to their 1-0 lead. But that hasn't been a problem so far for Matt Frodden, as Frodden, so far so good against the Florence Freedom. Has only given up 3 hits on the day. No errors for the Washington Wild Things. Those 3 hits coming via a single for Godbold, single for Newell, and a double for Taylor Oldham. So Frodden so far so good. Last inning for the Florence Freedom. It would start off with a Daniel Fraga fly out, then Andre Mercurio would fly out, Taylor Oldham would double, and Andrew Godbold would strike out to end the inning. Due up here in the 4th, Austin Newell, Jordan Brower, and Collins Cuthrell, 4, 5, and 6, facing off against Matt Frodden. Now for Frodden, as we said, it's his second year in the Washington Wild Things organization. Pitched for the Wild Things back in 2015, and for the Wild Things went 3-2 with a 3.28 ERA, appearing in 8 games, 7 starts a year ago. Had 23 strikeouts and 12 walks in 46 2/3 innings. So really picking up the strikeouts this year. 55 strikeouts. Tied a career high in strikeouts 2 starts ago against River City when he struck out 7 in that complete game victory, complete game shutout over River City. That was also his first complete game of his career, his first shutout of his career as well. He set career high in wins this season with 4, as he only had 3 wins a year ago, looking to improve upon that here in this one today. Also a season high in losses. This has been a career year for Frodden. Career high in strikeouts, also walks given up, career high in hits given up, runs given up, earned runs given up, games started, games appeared in, got his first shutout, career high in innings pitched as well, with 70 1/3. So Frodden in his second year with the Wild Things, performing pretty well. Actually did not start the year in the Wild Things rotation, was a member of the bullpen for the Wild Things until they needed a 5th starter. Then Frodden stepped in, and he has been a mainstay in that rotation since his entering back in late May. Stepping in to lead things off here in the 4th inning, Austin Newell. Newell so far 1 for 1 with a single on the day. Newell in yesterday's ball game ended up going 0 for 4. Frodden has his sign, the pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Austin Newell. Nobody out, bottom of the 4th, 1-0 your Wild Things lead. Frodden has his sign. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And Newell takes this one for a strike right down the middle, and the count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Frodden on the mound features a fastball, changeup, curveball, 3-pitch arsenal for Frodden. Uses them all effectively. The 1-1, and this one grounded towards second base. Magruder charging. He'll glove it, throw to first, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th for Frodden, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Jordan Brower. Brower so far 0 for 1, grounded out in inning number 1. 1 man out, bottom of the 4th, as Frodden able to retire the leadoff man here in the 4th inning. Leadoff man has not reached base yet in this ball game for the Florence Freedom. Brower up 0 for 1, activated off the disabled list today. Last night's first baseman was Taylor Oldham, and Collins Cuthrow was at third. Frauden set, here's the pitch, and Brower takes this one low and inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jordan Brower. Saw Brower in the first series between these two teams, was the first baseman for the Florence Freedom, retaking that duty here today. The 1-0 from Frauden, and that one's a called strike on the outside corner. Count goes even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the number 5 hitter for the Florence Freedom. 1 out, bottom of the 4th. Frauden has his sign, the 1-1. And that one's in there for a strike as well, so the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Only 1 strikeout on the day so far for Matt Frauden. 55 strikeouts on the year for him coming into this one, second on the team. The 1-2 pitch, and a broken bat, fly ball over the glove of Uxa, and that'll get down into right field for a base hit. Uxa had to avoid that piece of flying bat, so it's a single for Jordan Brower. Just lofted it over the head of Uxa, but as we said, the barrel of his bat flying towards Logan Uxa at first base, so had to be defensive of that, make sure he did not get hit by it and get any unnecessary injuries. That'll bring to the plate the right fielder, Collins Cuthrow. Cuthrow so far on the day, 0 for 1 with a strikeout in this one. And Cuthrow in last night's game, along with hitting his 9th home run, also singled, reached on an error, and walked in the contest. So went a combined 2 for 3 with that home run and the single. Runner at first with 1 man out in the bottom of the 4th, as Jordan Brower getting his first hit since coming back off of the disabled list. Matt Frauden looks into Kyle Pollock. Frauden has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And Cuthrow takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Collins Cuthrow. 1 man out, bottom of the 4th. Matt Frauden on the hill, making his 12th start of the year for the Wild Things, appearing in his 13th game. Frauden has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And that one's inside for a ball, so the count goes to 2-0. Frauden falling behind Cuthrow here with 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. Got the leadoff man out when Austin Newell grounded out to second and then allowed that single by Jordan Brower. 1-0 Wild Things lead. Matt Frauden looks in. Frauden has his sign from Pollock. He's set. Checks the runner at first, and the 2 ball, no strike pitch. And that one is taken on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Cuthrow batting from the right-handed side here against Matt Frauden, the right-handed pitcher, back out in his normal position today as he's an outfielder by trade. Was at third base in last night's game. Frauden set, and the 2 ball, 1 strike pitch. And this one fouled off by Cuthrow back behind the seats, and the count will go even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 with 1 man out, bottom of the 4th. Cuthrow hitting in the number 6 spot in the order. In yesterday's ball game, Cuthrow was up in the 5 spot at third base. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 man out. Runner at first is Jordan Brower after his 1 out single. Frauden looking in, has his sign, the pitch, and a check swing by Cuthrow. He went around, says Brian Miller, and that is called out on strikes, as that is the 3rd strike. And that is the 2nd strikeout of the day for Matt Frauden. Cuthrow not agreeing with the call behind home plate, but he is rung up, and there are 2 men out here in the bottom of the 4th. 2 strikeouts on the day for Frauden, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, Isaac Wenrick. Wenrick so far on the day is 0 for 1 with a ground out so far, and did not play in last night's game. Garrett Vale was behind the plate, and Vale in that one went 1 for 3 with a single. Frauden has his sign, checks first, and the pitch. And Wenrick takes this one low for a ball, blocked in the dirt by Pollock, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Isaac Wenrick, hitting in the number 7 hole for the Florence Freedom. Caught game 1 of this series. Frauden looks in, has the sign he wants. He's set, checks first, and the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And Wenrick takes that one outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Here in this inning, Frauden's been a little wild against these Florence Freedom hitters, getting behind in the count early on. So far, just the 1 hit allowed in the inning. Frauden has his sign. He's set. And the 2 ball, no strike pitch after a throw over to first. And Brower able to get back in there. Jordan Brower on the year. Currently not a stolen base yet in 21 games played for the Florence Freedom first baseman. Frauden has his sign. He's set the 2-0. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by Pollock. And the count goes to 3 balls and no strikes. Frauden 3 straight balls to start this at-bat here against Isaac Wenrick, looking to get back into the count. 3-0. 2 men out, bottom of the 4th. 1-0 Wild Things lead. Frauden has his sign. He's set. Checks first in the 3-0. And that one's in there for a strike at the knees. The count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count here on Isaac Wenrick. Matt Frodden trying to get out of this inning, just allowing that one hit. Frodden has his sign. He's set. And the 3-ball, 1-strike pitch. And Wenrick takes this one low, ball 4. So the first walk of the day for Matt Frodden has runners at first and second now with 2 men out, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Mason Salazar. Salazar so far 0 for 1 on the day with a ground out. Salazar did not play in yesterday's ball game, as the shortstop was Travis Weaver. Weaver went 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored, and also struck out twice in the ball game. 2 men out, bottom of the 4th, and a 1-0 Washington Wild Things lead here over the Florence Freedom. Salazar at the plate, Matt Frodden looking in. Frodden has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this one taken low by Salazar, 1 ball and no strikes, and all of a sudden Matt Frodden having trouble locating his pitches here in the bottom of the 4th. Frodden looks into Pollock. Frodden has his sign, he's set, checks second, and the 1 ball no strike pitch. And that one's low as well, and the count goes to 2-0. Now Kyle Pollock going out to talk to his starter, Matt Frodden. Before this inning, Frodden was rolling right along in terms of control, was hitting the strike zone on a consistent basis and getting Freedom batters out when he needed to. Last batter fell to a 3-0 count before walking him on the 3-ball, 1-strike pitch. And now currently down 2-0 here to the shortstop, Mason Salazar. The meeting on the mound has concluded. Now Salazar stepping back in here against Matt Frodden. The runner at second is Jordan Brower. The runner at first is Isaac Wenrick. Matt Frodden has his sign. He's set. And the pitch on the way to Salazar. And this one lined into left field. Andrew Heck coming on, and he will make the catch. And that is out number 3. So no runs in the inning for the Florence Freedom on just 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. After 4 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Florence Freedom 0. Matt Frodden able to get out of a jam there in that half of the inning against the Florence Freedom, stranding 2 men on base, as he stranded Jordan Brower at second and Isaac Wenrick at first. Did give up a 1 hit in the inning, but Logan Uxa was being defensive on that one, as he had a barrel of the bat flying at him. Wanted to make sure he did not get hit by that or get any injury caused to him in the ball game. Jordan Krause coming back on the hill for the Florence Freedom. Going to be his 5th inning of work through 4 innings so far. Has given up just the 1 run on 3 hits on the night for the Washington Wild Things. The 3 hits for the Wild Things belong to Andrew Heck, Ricky Rodriguez, and Ricky Rodriguez has the 2nd hit as well, so 2 hits for Rodriguez and 1 hit for Andrew Heck. Jordan Krause back on the mound. Last inning for the Washington Wild Things, Ricky Rodriguez doubled to start things, then Dave Popkins flew out, Logan Uxa grounded out, and Kyle Pollock flew out to end the inning. Due up here in the 5th, Jamadric Magruder, Grant Fink, and Austin Wobrock, 7, 8, and 9, facing off against Jordan Krause. Krause so far has only struck out 2 through 4 innings. Frodden striking out only 2 himself, so none of these batters for either team swinging and missing very much on the day. Getting contact, but unfortunately all the contact is going right to a fielder or is soft contact. Jamadric Magruder going to make his way to the plate to lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th. Magruder was the leadoff man in last night's ball game, and as he was signed, he had been the leadoff man for the majority of the games, and Andrew Heck in these last 6 have been taking over that leadoff spot in the rotation, or in the order for the Washington Wild Things. So Magruder's has been forced down lower in the lineup. Was the walk-off hero on Tuesday night, hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, and that brought in the winning run for the Wild Things. Magruder making his way to the plate right now. So far 0 for 1 in this ball game, and Magruder last night ended up going 0 for 3 out of the leadoff spot, grounded out twice, and struck out in the ball game. Jordan Krause on the mound facing off against Magruder. Krause has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Magruder takes this one low for a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jamadric Magruder, batting from the left-handed side against the right-hander Jordan Krause. Krause has his sign, and the pitch on the way. And that one's a called strike on the inside corner. Count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. The only run in this game coming in the first inning on a Dave Popkins double play ball for the Wild Things so far. Krause has his sign, and the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And Magruder takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. And Kraus again has been a little iffy on his control, has not walked a batter on the day, but has been getting into deep counts a lot. The 2-1 pitch, and that one's swung on a miss by Magruder, and the count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out, top of the 5th. 1-0, your Washington Wild Things lead over the Florence Freedom. Kraus has his sign, he's set, and the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. After a long look, here it comes. And Magruder takes this one outside for a ball, so the count goes full, 3-2. Grant Fink, the on-deck batter for your Washington Wild Things, hitting in the 8th spot. Kraus has his sign, the 3-ball, 2-strike pitch. And this one grounded down to the right side, handled by Brower. Brower will flip to Kraus covering, and it's just in time to get Jamadric Magruder. And Magruder slipping after he touched that first base bag. And he's down right now, getting up very gingerly. Looked like he stepped on that bag awkwardly, and he'll be looked at by the Washington Wild Things trainer. Was running down the line pretty quick, trying to beat Jordan Kraus to the plate, and he actually looks to be okay as he's jogging it off. So Magruder will be fine, and he's going back to the dugout. 1 out here in the top of the 5th, and Grant Fink on his plate. So a 3-1 put out for Magruder. Fink so far in the day, 0 for 1 with a strikeout to this point, hitting the number 8 spot. 1 out, top of the 5th, 1-0 Wild Things lead. Kraus looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Fink a foul ball off to the right back into the stands, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count of the Wild Things third baseman. Grant Fink, a product of the Cleveland Indians organization, played in single-A ball with the Cleveland Indians. Kraus has his sign, he's set, and the no-ball, 1-strike pitch. And Fink takes this one way inside for a ball. The count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike, having to lean out of the way of that one and gets his hands out of the way of the baseball. Kraus looking in, the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And Fink takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Kraus falling behind Grant Fink here. Got to a 3-2 count to Jamadric Magruder before getting him to ground out. Kraus has his sign, he's set, in the 2-1 pitch. And Fink takes this one for a strike just on that outside corner. And the count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out here in the top of the 5th. 1-0 your Wild Things lead. Kraus has his sign, he's set, and the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And Fink grounds this one foul over towards the Wild Things dugout. Actually goes into the Wild Things dugout for a foul ball, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fink fighting off a tough pitch there and staying is in time to get Collins Cuthrell, and that is the second out of the inning. A caught stealing there. Cuthrell initially beat the throw, but then overslid the second base bag. Austin Wobrock smart of keeping the tag down on Cuthrell and getting that out. Now 2 men out here in the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 your Wild Things lead. Nobody on base, and Isaac Wenrick at the plate with a 2-ball, 1-strike count. 2-1 the count, 2 men out. Frodden has his sign, he's set, and the 2-1 pitch. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by Pollock, and the count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count here on Isaac Wenrick, the number 7 hitter in the order. Frodden trying to get this final out of the inning now, as he's only faced 2 men, trying to keep it at 3 here in this one. Frodden has his sign, he's set, the 3-1 pitch. And this one swung on a miss, and the count now goes full to Wenrick, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And actually, that was strike 3, and that'll end the inning. So the 3rd strikeout of the day for Matt Frodden, as that will end the inning. So no runs in the inning on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. And after 6, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Florence Freedom 0. Frodden's 3rd strikeout of the game. Had 7 strikeouts 2 starts ago, which tied his career high. He has struck out 7 men, a total of 3 times here in the Frontier League in his 2 seasons with the Washington Wild Things. Jordan Kraus coming out for his 7th inning of work in this one. So far, 6 innings, 1 run. That run was not earned in this ball game. So Kraus continuing his good work on the mound. Last time, 8 innings of work, gave up 2 earned runs, 4 runs total against the Traverse City Beach Bums in what would be a loss for the Florence Freedom. Wild Things trying to hold on to their 2nd place position here in the Frontier League East. Currently, their record sits at 31-31 on the year, 4 games back of the 1st place Joliet Slammers. And today. A full slate of action around the Frontier League here on this Sunday night. A couple of out-of-town scores. Right now, earlier in the day, Joliet defeated River City by a score of 6-5, and Schaumburg handled Southern Illinois 3-1 in their game. Then right now, currently in the bottom of the 7th, the Normal Corn Belters 2 and the Lake Erie Crushers 1. And also in the bottom of the 2nd, Windy City and Gateway are tied at 0. Those are the out-of-town scores. Traverse City and Evansville had to be postponed today. No makeup date has been scheduled in that one. Last inning for the Wild Things, Andrew Heck doubled to start things. Then Chris Grayson grounded out. Ricky Rodriguez grounded out. And Dave Popkins grounded out to end the inning. Due up here in the 7th, Logan Uxa, Kyle Pollock, and new second baseman Ryan Willard, 5, 6, and 7, facing off against Jordan Kraus. Kraus trying to keep the Wild Things with just one run in the game. Wild Things trying to add on here in this one. Logan Uxa will lead things off. Uxa, a very good game in game 1 of this 3-game series against the Florence Freedom, as Uxa drove in 4 of his team's 7 runs in what would be a 7-4 win for the Wild Things. Uxa making his way to the plate right now, and Uxa so far on the day 0 for 2, 2 groundouts in the game, has grounded out to short and have grounded out to first on the day. Nobody out top of the 7th, 1-0. Your Washington Wild Things lead over the Florence Freedom. Kraus looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Uxa takes this one on the outside corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on Logan Uxa out there at first base today for your Wild Things. Kraus has his sign and the 0-1 pitch. And that one is just low for a ball. The count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. That one getting below the knees on Logan Uxa. Uxa hitting his 5th home run of the game in that game 1 of the series. That was actually in the rescheduled half that was played yesterday. Here's the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. And Uxa takes that one outside for a ball, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. And if you're the Wild Things, you'd love an insurance run here. You've only given Frauden a 1-run lead throughout this game. Frauden so far has handled it well, but you'd like to get another run here in this inning. The 2-1 swung on a miss by Logan Uxa, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out here in the top of the 7th. Wild Things got the leadoff man on last inning, a leadoff double, and there. Kraus has his sign, the 2-2, and a swing and a miss. Uxa strikes out. That's out number 1 here in the top of the 7th. For Kraus, that's strikeout number 3 on the day. It'll bring to the plate the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far 0 for 2. Flew out to left field in both at-bats so far. 1 man out top of the 7th, and the Wild Things catcher at the plate. Kraus has his sign. He said, here's the pitch, and Pollock takes this one for a strike at the knees. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Kyle Pollock. Kraus has his sign. He's set in the 0-1. And Pollock to left field and deep. This one's hooking, and it is just foul. Kyle Pollock inches away from a solo home run that would have added to this lead. Unfortunately for him, it is a long strike 2, and he'll have to do it again. Kyle Pollock's first home run of the season came back at Consol Energy Park, a pitch he absolutely crushed over the left field wall against the Southern Illinois Miners. He'll have to step in again, hit that one pretty well, but landed just to the left side of that left field foul pole. Jordan Kraus looking in, has his sign, the 0-2 pitch, and time is called, as Isaac Wenrick was not ready for that one. Kraus looking in, here's the no ball, 2-strike pitch. And Pollock hits this one foul off to the right, and the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Kyle Pollock, hitting in the 6th spot for the Washington Wild Things. Pollock's been another guy who's jumped around the lineup a lot for your Wild Things. Has batted 8, has batted 7, and now has also batted 5th, now hitting in the 6th spot tonight. The 0-2, and this one hitting to right field, coming on his cue throw, and that'll fall and get by him to the wall. Pollock around first, heading to second, and he will get in there at second with a 1-out double. A double there for Kyle Pollock. Runner at second, 1 man out for the Washington Wild Things, and that'll bring up the new second baseman, Ryan Willard. Willard in his first at-bat this season with the Washington Wild Things was signed last week before the series with the Normal Corn Belters. Played at North Carolina State earlier in the year. Hit .268 with North Carolina State. No home runs and 8 RBIs in his senior season. In total in the NCAA, hit .282 with 11 homers and 79 RBIs. Kraus setting the pitch, and Willard takes this one high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Jamadric Magruder started at second base. His final line of the day, 0 for 2, taken out after stepping awkwardly on the first base bag, hopefully just for precautionary reasons. Jordan Kraus looking into Isaac Wenrick. Kraus has his sign, checks second, and the 1-0 to Willard. And he takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count to the new Wild Things second baseman. Willard standing in there at 6'1", 185 from Smithsburg, Maryland. Jordan Kraus looking in. Kraus has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the 2-0 pitch. And that one's in there at the letters for a strike. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Willard appeared in his first Wild Things game last night as he came in at shortstop to give Austin Wobrock a little bit of rest, now getting his first Wild Things at bat. Jordan Kraus has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the 2-1. And this one swung on a miss by Willard, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out. Willard could be big here in this game if he can drive in this insurance run in inning number 7. Jordan Kraus looking into Wenrick. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks guy at second, and the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. And Willard takes this one on the inside corner for a called strike 3. That's the second out here in the 7th. The 4th strikeout of the day for Jordan Kraus, and that'll bring up the third baseman Grant Fink. Fink so far 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout on the day. 2 men out, top of the 7th, 1-0. Your Washington Wild Things lead over the Florence Freedom. Jordan Kraus looking in. Kraus has his sign. He's set and checks second. Here comes the pitch to Fink. And Fink a swing and a miss there to pitch up at the letters, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Grant Fink. Fink entering today with 13 RBIs on the season. That's good for 6th on the team behind Austin Wobrock. Wobrock 5th with 14. Here's Kraus's 0-1. Another swing and a miss there by Fink, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. 2 men out, top of the 7th. Grant Fink trying to pick up his man from second base. Kyle Pollock over there. A 1-out double after the strikeout of Oxa. Jordan Kraus looking in. Kraus has his sign. He's set. And the no ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one just low for a ball, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 men out. 1 run on 5 hits for the Wild Things. No runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors for the Florence Freedom. Kraus looking in. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second. And the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one's low for a ball, so the count goes even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Grant Fink, his last home run came on July 16th against the Southern Illinois Miners. Has 5 home runs on the season. Looking to get a homer, looking to at least drive the run in from second here. Would love a home run. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks second, the 2-2. And Fink pops this one up to the right side. Brower giving chase, looking over towards the seats, and he'll run out of room as that one will go foul, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fink staying alive here in the top of the 7th with 2 men out. Kyle Pollock, the runner at second, his 1-out double. Logan Uxa struck out to start the inning, and Ryan Willard in his first Wild Things at bat struck out looking with 1 man out. Jordan Kraus on the mound. Kraus trying to go 7 innings in this one. Looking in. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second, and the 2-2 pitch. And checks his swing. Did Fink? Did he go around? No, says any of the umpires. And the count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Austin Wobrock, the on-deck man here, facing on as Grant Fink at the plate if Fink can reach. Looking in is Kraus. Kraus has his sign. He's set. Checks second. The 3-2. And a swing and a miss. Grant Fink strikes out, and that will end the inning. No runs in the inning for the Wild Things on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 6.5, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Florence Freedom 0 here from UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Game 3 of this 3-game series between your Wild Things and the Florence Freedom. Wild Things taking game 1 of this series by a score of 7-4 in a 2-day 1-game affair. Played to the bottom of the 5th with 1 out in game 1 before the rains came down. Then the Wild Things completing the win yesterday at 4:05 as they won that game 7-4, and then losing the regularly scheduled game by a score of 6-2. Currently leading this one 1-0. Matt Frodden coming back out on the mound for his 7th inning of work. So far, 6 shutout innings for him, giving up 7 hits in the ball game. As for Matt Frodden, his career high in hits in a game is 10. That was back on June the 30th against Gateway back at Consol Energy Park, the first game of a doubleheader. So Matt Frodden looking to keep this shutout going. 7 shutout innings, 2 starts ago against the River City Rascals. That was actually a complete game because it was game 1 of a doubleheader between the Rascals. So Frodden looking to go 7 here in this one. His career high in innings pitched is 8 innings pitched, went 8 innings against the Frontier Grays back on August the 12th of last season. So looking to at least get through 7 here in this one. Last inning for the Florence Freedom. Jordan Brower would pop out to start things. Then Collins Cuthbert would single. Isaac Wenwick would strike out, and Cuthbert will be thrown out trying to steal second base. Due up here in the 7th, Mason Salazar, Daniel Fraga, and Andre Mercurio, 8, 9, and 1, facing off against right-hander Matt Frodden. Frodden's warm-up tosses are complete, and Mason Salazar will make his way to the plate. Salazar so far on the day, 0 for 2, grounded out in the 2nd, and flew out in inning number 4. Nobody out, bottom of the 7th, 1-0. Your Washington Wild Things lead, trying to get over 500 today. Come into today with a record of 31-31. Currently 2nd in the Frontier League East. Matt Frodden looks into Kyle Pollock. There is action in the Florence Freedom bullpen. No action there in the Wild Things bullpen. The pitch, and that one's inside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Mason Salazar. Nobody out, bottom of the 7th. Frodden has his sign. He's set, and the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And check swing there by Salazar. Takes this one in the outside corner. Count goes even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, and nobody out. Frodden has his sign. The 1-1 on the way. And that one's inside as well, so the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. Matt Frodden trying to keep up his string of good starts recently. So far, so good. 7 shutout innings in this ball game. Frodden's 2-1. This one grounded to the left side, and it's just foul past the third base bag. And the count goes even to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mason Salazar very close to a leadoff double there, but just to the left-hand side of the third base bag as he'll have to do it again. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out past Dennis Pelfrey over there in the third base coaching box. Matt Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Frodden has his sign. He's set. And the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by Pollock, and the count goes full of 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Daniel Fraga, the on-deck man. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out here in UC Health Stadium in Florence, Kentucky. Matt Frodden looks in. Frodden has his sign. He's set. And the 3 ball, 2 strike pitch. Side will skip by Pollock to the backstop, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Collins Cuthbert. 2 men out, bottom of the 8th. 2-1, your Washington Wild Things leading over the Florence Freedom. Colin Stanley, right-hander on the mound. Facing off against the right-handed batter, Collins Cuthbert. Stanley looks in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 2 ball, 1 strike pitch. And that one's high for a ball, and the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1 the count. Wild Things finishing up this 3-game series here in Florence. Will then go off to Evansville for a 3-game series against the Evansville Otters. Colin Stanley looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 3 ball, 1 strike pitch. And this one grounded to the left side. Grant Fink will handle it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Florence Freedom here in the 8th. And after 8 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 2 and the Florence Freedom 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network. A 1-2-3 inning for Colin Stanley out of the bullpen as he keeps the Wild Things with a 2-1 lead here in this ball game. Going to have a new pitcher out of the bullpen for the Florence Freedom as the night is over for reliever Pete Levitt. Levitt in total went an inning, did not give up a run, no earns on a total, of 1 hit, did not walk a batter, and struck out 1 in the ball game. So Pete Levitt's night's over, and that'll bring on the left-hander Zach Wendorf. Wendorf, we saw in game 1 of this series, ended up pitching the resumed half of the ball game for the Florence Freedom. Came in the bottom of the fifth in the top of the fifth with, one man out, and was able to get the last 2 outs in the inning. So Zach Wendorf on here in this one to pitch for the Florence Freedom. Last inning for your Washington Wild Things. Austin Wobrock would walk to lead things off. Then that would be it for the starter, Jordan Kraus. Kraus went 7+, giving up 2 runs, 1 earned on 5 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts on the day for Kraus. Pete Levitt came in the game trying to strand Wobrock at first. Then the Wild Things did a hit and run on Andrew Heck, was able to single through the hole on the right side. Wobrock made it up to third. There were runners at first and third with nobody out, and then a wild pitch scored Austin Wobrock and gave the Wild Things this 2-1 lead. Then Chris Grayson would fly out, Ricky Rodriguez popped out, and Dave Popkins struck out to end the inning. Due up here in the 9th for the Wild Things as they look to add on some insurance is Logan Uxa, Kyle Pollock, and Ryan Willard. 5, 6, and 7 facing off against the lefty Zach Wendorf. As we said, we saw Wendorf in the first game of this series. Came in on Friday night in the bottom of the 5th with 1 man out, and then would start the resumed half of the game yesterday at 4:05. Wendorf in total in that game went 1 2/3, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 2 hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout in his outing in game 1 of this series. So now in here for game 3 of this 3-game series. Wild Things looking for the series win. Colin Stanley gave him a scoreless inning in the 8th. And the Wild Things will try to get some insurance here in the 9th. Right now, the pitcher of record for your Washington Wild Things is Matt Frodden. Frodden trying to pick up his 5th win of the season. Frodden was very good on the night. Went 7 innings, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 10 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Logan Uxa making his way to the plate here to lead things off in the top of the 9th. Uxa so far 0 for 3. Grounded out in the 1st, grounded out in the 4th, and struck out in inning number 7. Uxa at the plate facing off against the lefty, Zach Wendorf. Wendorf looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Uxa takes this one low for a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things first baseman. Nobody out, top of the 9th. And 2-1, your Washington Wild Things lead. Wendorf has his sign, he's set in the 1-0. And that one's just below the knees for a ball. The count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count here on Logan Uxa. Uxa trying to get something started here in this top of the 9th inning. Wendorf has his sign, he's set, and the 2 ball, no strike pitch. And that one's low as well, so Wendorf comes out of the bullpen and has fired 3 straight balls to start things here. 3-0 the count on Logan Uxa. Well, nobody out, top of the 9th. Wild Things trying to add on. Wendorf has his sign, the 3-0. And that one's a called strike hitting the outside corner. Count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1, nobody out here in the top of the 9th. 2-1, your Washington Wild Things lead. Wendorf has his sign. Here's the 3-1 pitch. And Uxa swinging a foul ball off of Isaac Wenrick behind the plate. And the count goes full to 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Kyle Pollock, the on-deck batter for the Washington Wild Things, the number 6 hitter in the Wild Things order. 3-2 with nobody out here in the top of the 9th. Logan Uxa trying to get on to lead things off here in this inning. Lefty Zach Wendorf facing off against the left-handed hitter, Logan Uxa. Wendorf has his sign, he's set, and the 3 ball, 2 strike pitch. And it's inside ball 4, so a leadoff walk here in the top of the 9th has a runner on base for the Wild Things. The 17th walk of the season for Logan Uxa. In that category, Uxa stands now alone in 3rd, was tied with Andrew Heck coming into this game. Each of them had 16. That'll bring to the plate the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far is 1 for 3, flew out twice and doubled in the game. Wendorf checks first in the pitch, and Pollock takes this one outside for a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things catcher, inches away from his 2nd home run of the game in his last at-bat, had to settle for a double. Wendorf has his sign, the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And Pollock takes that one outside as well, so the count goes to 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes, and right now Wendorf not able to find the strike zone here coming out of the bullpen. Went 3-2 before walking Logan Uxa, and now 2-0 here on Kyle Pollock. Wendorf has his sign, the 2-0, and that one swung on a miss, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count here on Kyle Pollock. Nobody out, top of the ninth. 2-1 your Washington Wild Things lead this one over the Florence Freedom. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, checks Uxa at first, and the 2-1. And that one's inside and low for a ball, and the count now goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1 the count here on Kyle Pollock. Logan Uxa at first base does have 1 stolen base on the year. That came in Game 1 of this series. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, and the 3-1. And that one's a called strike, so the count goes full here now on Kyle Pollock. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2, nobody out, top of the ninth. On deck man would be Ryan Willard if Kyle Pollock can reach. Wendorf has his sign. Now time is called behind the plate as Isaac Wendrick wants time. And now we're back. Zach Wendorf looking in. Wendorf has his sign, checks first, and the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. And a swing and a miss. Kyle Pollock strikes out, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the ninth. 1 out now for your Washington Wild Things, and that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Ryan Willard. Willard in his first Wild Things at bat struck out against the reliever Pete Levitt. So Zach Wendorf looking in. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the pitch on the way. And Willard takes this one for a strike at the knees. No balls and a strike. Ryan Willard, his time at NC State before joining the Washington Wild Things. Played 2 years for NC State. Also played for Tallahassee Community College, and then played for Towson College. The pitch, and that one's a called strike at the knees. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Ryan Willard. 1 man out, top of the ninth. Runner at first is Logan Uxa. Uxa walked to start this inning. Wendorf has his sign, checks first, and the 0-2 pitch. And this one fouled off by Willard back into the stands, and the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Ryan Willard. Staying alive there, fighting off a tough 2-strike pitch. And with 1 man out and 1 man on, Wild Things trying to add on. Zach Wendorf looking in. Wendorf has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at first. And the no-ball 2-strike pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Willard. He strikes out. And that's the second out here in the 9th inning. 2 outs for the Wild Things, top of the 9th. They lead 2-1. And Grant Fink coming to the plate. Fink so far 0 for 3. Struck out in the 3rd. Flew out in the 5th. And struck out in inning number 7. 2 men out, top of the 9th. 2-1. Your Washington Wild Things lead over the Florence Freedom, trying to take this series from the Freedom. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, and the pitch to Fink. And this one grounded foul off to the left and into the Wild Things dugout, and the count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. Wendorf, after walking the leadoff man, has struck out the last 2 batters he has faced in this ball game. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, and the 0-1 pitch. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Grant Fink. 2 men out in the top of the 9th. Trying to add on to the Wild Things. Fink trying to come through with 2 outs. Wendorf has his sign. The 0-2 pitch. That's way outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on the right-handed hitting third baseman for the Wild Things, Grant Fink. Fink standing in there at 6'3", 215 from Spokane, Washington. Zach Wendorf looks in, has his sign, checks the runner at first. And the 1 ball, 2-strike pitch. Swing and a broken back ground ball to the left side, and that one will go foul. And the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Grant Fink going to have to get a new bat as that one got in on his hands, and he was just able to foul it off and stay alive. 1-2 the count, 2 men out. And Grant Fink at the plate. Logan Uxa, the runner at first. He walked to lead things off here in this inning. Zach Wendorf, the lefty on the mound, facing the right-handed hitter, Grant Fink. 2 outs. Wild Things lead by a score of 2-1. Wendorf has his sign. He's set. And the 1 ball, 2-strike pick. Uxa takes off for second. Here's the throw by Wenrick. And it's not in time. Uxa in there with his 2nd stolen base of the year. 2nd stolen base of this series. So Uxa getting in there. 2 outs now and a runner on second. Fink will try to pick up his man from scoring position. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 men out. Grant Fink at the plate facing off against Zach Wendorf. Wendorf has his sign. He's set. And the 2 ball, 2-strike pitch. And that one's outside, ball 3. Count goes full now to Grant Fink. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2, 2 men out. Top of the ninth. 2-1 your Wild Things lead. An insurance run standing out there at second base. Wendorf has his sign. He's set. The 3-2. And this ball hit the left field. Going back is Godbold to the track, to the wall. He leaps, and this ball exits stage left. A 2-run home run for Grant Fink. Your Wild Things add on here in the top of the ninth, and they now lead it 4-1 over the Florence Freedom. Grant Fink's 6th home run of the year, and when you need an attorney to hit one out of the park for you, yo Keith. That home run brought to you by Keith Owen Campbell, attorney at law. Fink's 6th home run of the season, just the insurance your Washington Wild Things need. They now lead 4-1, and Austin Wobrock at the plate. Wendorf looking in, here's the pitch. And that one's outside for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. Wild Things now lead by 3 here on the top of the ninth after the 2-run blast by Grant Fink. Wendorf's 1-0, and that one's just high to Wobrock for a ball, and the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count, 2 men out. Wobrock at the plate, top of the ninth, 2 runs in the inning. Wendorf has his sign, he's set. Here's the 2-0. And that one's low for a ball, so the count goes to 3 balls and no strikes. 3-0, 2 men out. Austin Wobrock, the number 9 hitter in the order. 2 strikeouts after a leadoff walk, and then the 2-run shot by Grant Fink makes it 4-1 Wild Things. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, the 3-0, and Wobrock takes this one on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count. The Wild Things hadn't scored a run since the top of the first inning. They scored a run in the 8th, and now 2 runs in here in the 9th. Wendorf's 3-1, and that one's in there for a strike as well as the count will go full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 men out. Austin Wobrock hitting from the left side. Wendorf has his sign. He's set, and the 3-2. Swinging a ground ball to the right side, and it'll go through the hole on the right side. A 2-out single for Austin Wobrock. There's another man on for the Wild Things with 2 outs, and that brings up the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far in the day is 3 for 4, 2 singles, a double, and a strikeout in the ball game. Grant Fink providing the insurance, a 2-run home run here in the top of the ninth. Fink's 6th home run of the